Hi, today's video going to be assembling the NorthStar 21-gallon pull-behind sprayer. So here's how it comes in the box. It does come with, this is your instructions. You just scan the QR code. If you're like me, I'd rather watch a YouTube video and just follow that step by step. All right, here's everything out of the box, laying out on the floor. They do have a sticker just in case yours is missing. I'm sure you'll know, but there was a bunch of stuff inside the tank. I believe it was like the spray arm, all the hardware package, and all these brackets. Tools you're gonna need. Got a 1/2 inch socket here. Got a 1/2 inch wrench, flat blade, Phillips head, pair of pliers. Probably not needed. Torque wrench, kind of glancing through the directions, they did mention torquing some bolts down to 20 foot-pounds, but I'm sure good and tight probably works just as good, but I've got the torque wrench, might as well use it. All right, parts we're gonna need for the first step is 3 of the 5/16 by 2 1/4 bolts, 3 nuts, your axle, the frame, and this part here. All right, start off. I'm gonna place this frame in the tow bar. There's quite a few holes in here. I'm assuming that is, like I said, these instructions don't say much, but I think that's if you wanted to shorten this tow frame up. All right, first step. Take this frame here, flip it upside down, and then we're going to take this tow bar assembly, slide it in here, and then put our 2 1/4 5/16 bolts in, and then we'll torque this down to 20 foot-pounds. We'll take our axle right here, and we'll just slide it in. If you notice, my axle is not lining up with the hole here, so may have to loosen these bolts here and kind of adjust this a little bit. As far as this goes, I can get this forced in there, and I think I'm going to go ahead and loosen this up. All right, loosen that up a little bit, and the axle just slid right in. All right, that's step 1. This is what you should have so far. All right, step 2 is the cart to tank assembly. So what we're gonna need here is our plastic tank. The assembly we just put together, and 6 of these 5/16 by 1/2 inch bolts, and a 1/2 inch socket or wrench. All right, for this next step, grab your tank, flip it upside down, and then we're gonna take our assembly here that we just put together and line up the holes. So what we have here is a better view. There's 4 holes there and 2 holes up there. These 4 holes go to the back where the axle's at, and then we got the 2 holes up there. Then we'll take our bolts here, and they recommend torquing these to 5 foot-pounds. I'd recommend just kind of just barely finger tight so you can move things around. One thing I noticed, and there is some adjustment, so these holes with these 4 bolts back here, these holes are not lining up. But if you look, if we loosen this bolt here on these brackets, there is a slot here. If you can see it, that'll allow us to slide these brackets back and forth. All right, got all 6 bolts in. Like I said, just loosen those up if you need to. You can slide them back and forth. Tighten all the frame to tank bolts to 5 foot-pounds, and then we'll retighten these 2 bolts and go to step 3. All right, after you get that frame on the tank, we'll take our cap and we'll screw that on right here. Just kind of snug, you don't want to strip it. I didn't have, my torque wrench wouldn't go to 5 foot-pounds. I did have an inch-pound torque wrench, a very small one, like this. And 5 foot-pounds is 60 inch-pounds. All right, for the next step, we're gonna install the wheels onto the cart. So you're gonna need 2 washers, 2 pins, and obviously your wheels. And these wheels do have on the back, they have Zerk fittings so that you can lube them up. All right, pretty straightforward process here. Just get your wheels set on, Zerk fittings to the inside. All right, take a washer, slide it over here, take your pin and put it through the hole, clip it on. Do the same for the other side. Inflate your tires, grease up the Zerk fittings. All right, we'll move on to the next step. All right, step 4, suction tube assembly. So you're gonna need this, the longer suction tube. Kind of has the little cut at the end and your strainer. I'm gonna take the unit, flip it on its wheels. All right, for the next step, I said use some soapy water just to help get this tube, and this tube's gonna go down this very back hole. And then just basically insert the tube down through this grommet. Good old-fashioned spit probably would work too. And once you get that tube down there, you're gonna take this strainer and then slide it over the end of the tube. All right, there you go. This is inside the tank, and you can see the strainer. You just slide it onto the end of the tube. All right, step 5, the hose wrap assembly. So get your tank, turn it around, looking at the front of the tank. If you notice, there's 4 threaded inserts here in the front of the tank. You're gonna need 4 of the 5/16 half-inch bolts, and then your tank wrap assemblies right here. Need a 1/2-inch wrench, and these also are 5 foot-pound torque or 60 inch-pounds. We'll get the top one set up first. This is what it looks like. It kind of has like a little clip right here, and it's gonna go facing up like this, like that. Basically, just put it on there, thread your nuts on, and we'll torque it this, well, for me, 60 inch-pounds. All right, now we'll just put the bottom bracket on, and it goes this way. So this angle goes down, and it'll go down here on these holes right here. Once you get those on there, get them torqued down, 60 inch-pounds or 5 foot-pounds. This is what the assembly should look like. Let's move on to the next step. All right, step 6, the pump assembly. You're gonna need the pump, you're gonna need your regulator, and then this elbow fitting. All right, they have on your pump, there's these plugs for the shipping. Just to make sure you move this all the way down, just grab a pair of pliers or your fingers, whatever, and pop those plugs out. There you go. There's 2 of them. There's one on this side and one on this side. All right, there is an inlet and an outlet. It doesn't say in or out, but if you look on the top of your pump, I don't know if you can see it, there's an arrow pointing out. So obviously this is the outlet, and that's the inlet. Very important. All right, you're gonna take your regulator, just get some water, good old-fashioned spit. Just lube that O-ring a little bit, and we are gonna stick this regulator into the outlet port of the pump. Like I said, if you look on top of the pump, there's a little arrow pointing out. This regulator will go on the outlet side. So just take this outlet side, kind of twist this thing in there, like that. Once you get it twisted in, you'll kind of feel it snap, and then just close your little locking plug. In the orientation, I believe if your pump's sitting like this, your gauge will face the head here. Lube this elbow here. We're going to put this one into the inlet side. Just give it a little twist as you push it in. Once it's seated, you'll just you'll close this little ring here. Okay, I'm not able to get it closed. Let's supposed to just close like this and lock this thing in. Alright, got it closed. What it was is, it looked like it was seated. I just had to really kind of twist it and get it pushed in there all the way, and then now it closes. Alright, next step, we're going to be installing this the pump to the tank here. This is where the instructions were a little off, because it said there was 3 short screws and 1 long screw. Well, mine came with all long screws, and after looking at the pump, they must have changed something, because all my feet are the same size. What you're gonna need for this step, at least in mine, is 4 of the screws, 4 washers. Your pump is gonna sit right there on those 4 holes, and then this on your regulator, that is gonna stick down into there. So what you're also going to need is your lid here, and then you'll take this tether, which just kind of holds the lid. You don't have to use this, but, and then when you screw this thing down, you'll just put the tether on one of the feet here, just to keep your lid from blowing away or whatever. All right, get a screw and a washer, get your tether, it's hooked to this lid, put it on one of the feet, and then we'll tighten all 4 screws down, and then, like I said, this regulator will slide down into this grommet. All right, Phillips head screwdriver, tighten down all 4 of the screws. You don't want to get them too tight. Once again, don't want to strip anything. Next step, need a 1/2 inch wrench, your torque wrench again, and a flathead screwdriver. You'll need a boom bracket. Get the one with this little T fitting on it right here. And we're gonna put this, if you're looking at the back of the tank, put this on your left side. And you also need a hose clamp. So you'll need 2 of these 5/16 by 1/2 inch bolts. Thread these through this bracket and mount this sprayer arm to the back of the tank. Torque those down to 20 foot-pounds. Next, take a hose clamp, slide it over your hose. We're going to slide it over this barb on the regulator, get the hose clamp put on, and tighten it down. So for the left boom, this is what it should look like. For the next step, just a repeat of the left side. Going to take the boom that just has the single hose, take 2 of your little 1/2 inch 5/16 bolts, and do the same thing. Grab yourself a hose clamp again, slide the hose clamp over this, and then we'll hook it up to this T. Slide the hose clamp up, and we'll take a flathead screwdriver, tighten that down. All right, step 10, the draw tube hose assembly. Need a flathead screwdriver. We're gonna need this little smaller kind of fat L-shaped tube, and 2 hose clamps. These are the bigger ones. So these are the bigger ones. The ones that we've been using are these little bit smaller ones, as you can see. I believe these go for the hose for the wand sprayer, because these will fit onto here, and these just kind of seem big. The wand sprayer is the same size hose as this, so we've been using the smaller ones. So anyway, get your tube, slide your 2 hose clamps on there, and then what we're going to do is this hose that we inserted earlier, take the short end, we're going to slide this over here, and then the other end will go on the barb for the on the pump. Like I said, this can obviously move down this tube here because it needs to be at the bottom of the tank. I just have it sitting up here for now, just to keep it out of the way. All right, so let's get this installed, and we'll move on to the next step. All right, step 11, install the hose in the sprayer. So it comes with a roll of tube. Got your hose in, or your wand, and then the 2 hose clamps. All right, pretty straightforward on this. Just slide your hose clamp over the hose, Then basically we're just gonna push this hose onto the wand and then tighten down our hose clamp. All right, step 12, we're gonna attach the spray gun hose to the pump. Obviously you'll need your other end of the hose. You'll need your last hose clamp, and then you'll need this hose clip, and then another 5/16 half-inch bolt. So what we'll do is we'll turn our unit around. All right, first thing we'll do is we'll slide our hose clamp over the hose. We're just going to push it on to the regulator, and then we'll tighten down the hose clamp. All right, next thing we'll do is we'll get our hose clamp, put it around the hose here, and then we're going to take our 5/16 by half-inch bolt, and then we'll thread it onto the side and get that tightened down to 20 foot-pounds. All right, step 13, the hitch bracket assembly. You need your hitch bracket, half-inch wrench or socket. You need your 5/16 by 3/4 inch bolts and 2 of the nuts. So for this this step, it's got all kinds of if you can see, it's got all kinds of adjustments. So depending on your tow vehicle, tractor, four-wheeler, whatever you're towing it with, you might need to adjust this. All right, so when installing this, like I said, it has a lot of holes for adjustments. So depending on what your tow vehicle is and the height of it, you can adjust it. I'm gonna go ahead and just temporarily mount it. So there's 4 holes in this bracket, but only 2 of them, as you can see, will line up at a time. And I believe, see, like this particular hole, you only get 1, but I think if you flip it over, then you can get 2. So yeah, we'll stick our 3/4 inch bolts there, just snug them up, and we'll get this adjusted later. Pretty much assembled. You have, it did come with a remote, so we'll just hook this up to your battery on your tractor or four-wheeler. This plug will plug into the pump, and then you have an on-off switch. Turn the pump on and off. Thanks for watching. Hope this helped. Like I said, I'd rather watch a video and do this than go through the instructions. But anyway, yeah, stay tuned. I'll do another video. We'll get this thing fired up, test it out, adjust the nozzles, get everything adjusted, make sure everything's working right. All right, thanks for watching. Till then, build it, fix it, live it.